Hello, my friendly acquaintances. Good to see you today. Today, we're talking about risk reversal on Fire Your Boss, and I'm with the illustrious co-hosts, Frank Guerin and Dan T-Bone Jones, also known as Jonesy. Hello, gentlemen. How you doing?
Hi, George. Hi, Frank.
Fantastic. Hey, guys. Hey, everybody out there in Radio Land.
Radio. Does anyone say Radio Land anymore? We grew up with that Radio Land stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Like
did not
right now,
use
you're listening to Fire the Boss on 104.5 FM. It reaches the beaches. Bing
Yeah,
bong.
yeah,
There you go, man. So
that's
let's
funny.
fire some bosses today. Who's up for it?
I'm up for it, man.
Always.
Totally up
I
for it.
love it.
We're talking about risk reversal. Risk reversal is allowing a customer to feel free to purchase and not feel any risk. Some people will say a risk-free purchase or better than risk-free. I've seen that even. I don't know what that means, better than risk-free, or 110% money back guarantee. That kind of, you've seen all kinds of ploys like that over the years. A risk reversal is mitigating risk. So a person doesn't feel like they're going to lose, because why don't we want people to lose? Because we want them
You to
to
win.
win. Absolutely.
Man, absolutely.
And
So
that,
some of
kids, is the
the
phrase that pays. We're going back to old school radio.
Oh, geez.
we'll,
Yeah,
t- we'll
today's
take
phrase that pays.
yeah, and,
Absolutely.
and we'll take the sixth caller at.
Yeah.
I used
1-800 fire your boss.
Yeah.
I used to have radio stations on speed dial, and I used to get concert tickets like
Yeah.
you have no idea, man. I was just speed dialing. This is even before cell phones. It was crazy. All right, risk reversal. So the first thing that comes to my mind is, in all businesses, every business owner needs to make a list of every obstacle that might prevent a person from purchasing or choosing your product or service over a competitor. And then literally take every one of those obstacles and mitigate it somehow, some way. Number two, uh, there are financial risks and financial obstacles, potential financial loss, a breach of privacy. There might be a loss of life or safety. Uh, for some reason, I'm getting a lot of VPN advertisements like enhance your privacy, your internet privacy. No one can find out where you're broadcasting from, and hide yourself from Uncle Sam and the evil agencies or something, whatever. So they obviously try to sell you. I don't want to say scare you into buying, but is there potential financial loss, breach of privacy, potential loss of life, safety? Like, for instance, I remember at one time, we talked about this before. Volvo used to be one of the safest cars on the road. I don't know if it is anymore. I haven't bought a new car in many years, but that was one of the things. If you really care about your family, you're going to get a Volvo because they're like a tank. And you care for your children, don't you? That kind of thing. And if they don't use your product, there's potential loss or danger. Number three, the emotional mitigation. How bad will they look or feel without the purchase of your product or service? Number four, measurability. Can a tangible impact be measured if they do or don't engage with you? And then ask yourself, how many people have asked for money back in the past? Because I think people are afraid to do risk reversals because of what do they call that? Imposter syndrome. It's like, oh my gosh, what would I do if somebody actually wanted their money back? And you live in a false reality of what could happen, and it keeps you paralyzed. Whereas when you look at your services, when you look at your life, how many people have actually wanted their money back? How many people actually literally said, I don't want your service, I want my money back, and I want you to pay for the damage that it did or something, whatever. The reality is, yeah, the reality is most people have operated without someone asking for their money back. It doesn't matter what product or service it is. When you offer a risk-free condition, it actually unconsciously makes you deliver more. So the deliverability increases. And I want to say I've heard people say that's acting on dread. Like, you better measure up or they're going to want their money back. wasn't there, I think there was a viral YouTube video going around of a contractor doing a bathroom for a woman and she couldn't pay. And he started smashing his work with a sledgehammer and she recorded it with her cell phone. He like literally started
Jeez.
destroying all his own work because she didn't pay.
Wow.
I don't know what happened to that. I guess you could just Google that.
I guess he never heard of the mechanics lien where he can just put a lien on the property for X amount of dollars instead of smashing all the work.
Oh,
Exactly.
sure.
And
Yeah.
Now you tell him, Jonesy.
yeah, now you tell Frank. Gosh.
Yeah, that was actually me in my former career as a remodeler.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what are your thoughts about risk reversal, mitigating the risk, making people feel good about their purchase? And let me ask this question. Is it manipulation if you tell people what will happen if they don't use your product or service? What do you think about that?
Not at all. Why, if you're honest with them, if you're like, if you don't use this, you're going to be behind your competitors because of X. That's a service you're providing them, and if that's a true fact, man, why wouldn't you say that? These are your babies, your people, your constituency, your customers and clients. You want to save them from peril. You want to save them from harm in all its many forms. So, like, why wouldn't you just say, hey, you know what? If you don't do this, that's going to happen to you. That's just good business, I think. What about you, Jonesy Jones?
Yeah, so in psychology, we can talk about it being like fortune telling or doomsdaying and whatnot. But the reality is that, sure, that fear-based outcome is, I don't like to use the word scare tactic, especially when there is truth and basis in the claim. Here's an example of a very recent one of an advertising campaign I'm running for an IT security company. Now, this IT security company happens to be one of my hockey buddies, as business often happens on the rink, is my version of business on the golf course. One of his primary avatars is financial planning companies, registered insurance agencies. So these are, financial agencies, fiduciaries who are bound by SEC and FTC regulations. Cool. So cybersecurity is a paramount concern because they have a duty to safeguard their clients' data. So one of the products he offers is a penetration test or risk assessment for malware, for data security, insecurities, I guess, holes in the security. And that's a campaign we're running. Well, one of it was, hey, your customer's data may be at risk. Then we decided that wasn't good enough of a message. So based on the demographic who owns and runs these companies, we decided to use gambling as the hook. So I made an image of a slot machine, and the hook was, you wouldn't gamble with your customer's data, would you? All right. So, and then adding gambling in when we're talking about risk reversal is almost like another level of messaging on top of it that until today's topic, I haven't really thought about. But yeah, it's using that fear-based emotional leverage. I don't want to say manipulation. I want to say leverage. It's the reverse of a before after story, a BAS value proposition in messaging, where you're showing a non-optimal, a bad outcome, an unwelcome outcome. Right. So that's what it is. It's like it's playing over in my head and I can't even really articulate it. Because yeah, risk reversal is like playing the reverse Uno card in marketing and business operations. It's turning a risk literally into an opportunity, into a you can't fail situation. So then, going back to your question of, is it deceitful? Is it manipulative? No, it's literally preventing that possible outcome of, breaching, not only the customer's trust and their data, whether it's, unwittingly or even just negligently, but through no malicious action. You're under the scrutiny of two government regulating industries. You don't want to be on the wrong side of that. That is a very truthful outcome. So his service, providing this IT security that is specifically meant to protect those agencies, yeah, absolutely. That's him providing a service for his avatar would be a disservice for him to not do that and not put that messaging forward.
Yeah. It's interesting when I think about security services, when I think about fire services, um, putting up cameras, that kind of thing. I never, like, if you told me that I'd be checking my phone 100 times a day, like 20 years ago, like before there were smartphones, I'd say, why would I be checking my phone? Like, I check my phone more than I ever check my email because of social media, just to see what's happening or see what people are saying. And I find myself becoming a busybody, just hearing gossip. And like the other night, I left my phone in the car on purpose before I went to dinner, and we're having dinner. And the funny thing is, we were talking about something, and I made some comment about, well, just look it up, just Google it. And I went to reach for my phone, and I thought, oh, I left it in the car. And it was a good example of how much I rely on my phone, how much I use it, even in the most mundane situations. So my phone is important to me to stay in touch. I remember going away for weekends or a whole week and calling in the middle of the week, like going camping, and then calling just to let people know I got there safe.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. I'll see you at the end of the week, whatever. And didn't have to check in all the time. Now everyone's checking in, and I'm checking in and checking up and checking out and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, my God, I can't live without it. And when I look at like security systems, what could happen, whether it's IT security or physical security, you know, uh, if you've ever had anyone come to your house to try to sell you anything, whether it be security systems, cameras, fire, alarms, smoke alarms, this kind of stuff, you know, you know what you know that they're relying on, I don't want to say fear to sell, but they're not lying. They're not lying. And anyone who's ever had a fire in their house, man, you know how important these things are. Anyone who's ever had a security breach, you know how important these things are. Uh, and then when I see videos of like the Ring doorbell cameras and all this kind of stuff, it's like, I need to get that now. I need that.
Yeah.
And not only do I need it in my front yard, like my neighbor now has like 3 cameras. It's like front yard, backyard, and side yard. And every time like a squirrel crosses the property, I'm sure he picks up his phone to see the
A
squirrel.
squirrel.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's
it's crazy, but the world, it's a different world than it was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's a different world. So I think there are different needs now in the world. And there's different things that we need for peace. And I think sharing with people what could happen if they don't purchase something, a product or service, like how many, like usually, like we talk about conversion chemistry being an online marketing academy. How many businesses get started and the last thing they think about is marketing and promotions? They're experts at creating a restaurant. Some guy he was trained at some great culinary school. He opened this great restaurant, maxed out every credit card, took out a ton of loans, and yet the restaurant is not filled because he he focused more on quality of the food and the aesthetic and nothing about the marketing. And then that's why restaurants hardly stay open 2 years, most of them. So on like conversion chemistry might be business insurance in a weird kind of way to like ensure that you stay open, that you even exist 2 years from now. Well, episode 1, the biggest marketing blunders that people make.
That is Frank's original contribution to conversion chemistry that we updated. It's both. It's the before after story, the positive outcome of if you take these action steps, these highly actionable strategies, good outcomes. If you don't do these things, or if you follow on this path, here is the consequence of inaction. So that presentation actually addresses both, but I mean that is the risk reversal right there. That is the consequence of inaction is that fear-based marketing of this is what you're missing out on, or this is the path that you're going down.
Yeah. Does it cost us anything if we reverse the risk?
In a positioning stance, no. No. Um, it really doesn't. And we can, if we're taking examples of like, wow, or you were talking about the money back guarantee. You will generate more sales by offering that than people will ever invoke that money back guarantee. Then they never ask for their money back. So no, if you're talking, straight on, return on investments, any good risk reversal is going to have a net positive outcome. You can even talk about internal operations by having redundant processes. So many of these things still go back to our 9+1 fatal errors. Having another person within your organization being able to delegate tasks to them, so you, the entrepreneur, the business owner, the manager, are not the linchpin. And if you're out for whatever reason or you're missing from the picture, does the whole thing fall apart? No, train somebody else to be able to do that, at least for a temporary time, and you have eliminated that risk and
Yeah.
possibly created a new opportunity. That's always the thing I say about risk reversal is it should create an opportunity of generating more productivity, sales, income, revenue. Reverse that order, but you know what I mean.
How do you measure risk reversal? Is it just 100%? Is it like it? Are there other ways of reversing a risk without saying 100% money back guarantee?
Free trial.
Free trial.
Yeah.
I like that.
Free
Before you
trial. And I'm going to
buy.
be very specific about this. Free trial without putting your goddamn credit card in to begin with. If any
Yes.
app or platform has me do that, that's a hard no. I want
Yeah.
a 14-day unencumbered free trial or 7 days. I don't care what the time length is. Enough for me
Right.
to give it a test drive.
Yes.
That is a trigger for me as a user, as a business owner, and as a marketer when I have to remove the payment method at the end of the trial or they will start billing.
Yeah.
It's scummy, it's sleazy, and it's not for me easy.
You're right. You're right. Man, I wrote that down and circled it. Free trial. That is another way. It didn't occur to me. That is another way of mitigating risk. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because the thing is, what you'll find too is that, especially if it's a physical product, things are a pain in the ass to ship back. Like if you get a book and they say 21 days, read our greatest natural remedies book, and this and that from these Indian shaman or whatever, all these natural healing things, you're not going to take the book and mail it back. You're going to say, you know what? Screw it. $20. Maybe I will find something in there at some point. That's what they used to do with like Columbia Recording House and all these other things
Yeah.
before the internet. They shipped it to you, and not the physical burden, but I guess the psychological burden of packing it back up, taping it back up, bringing it back to the post office or UPS. I mean, they didn't even have that stuff back then, like pack and ship places like FedEx store or UPS store or whatever.
Yeah.
You had to get in line, man, and ship this stuff back.
Was
So
that the 10 albums for a penny or something like that?
yeah,
Columbia
That,
House Records, yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
But then you had to fulfill your contract.
No, not if you
Yeah.
give them a fake address.
Well, yeah. There's a way. As soon as you said that, I was thinking, I was like, yeah, there was always a way around the mountain, wasn't there? But yeah, the point is let people get stuff in their hands. A physical, if you send me a Bowflex and I have to build that thing in my basement, and 30 days later I've got to pack it up and ship it back. Oy vey is all I'm going to say. That's a hassle.
Yeah.
Something that big. Now you got to be here when the UPS guy comes to pick it back up. Now you got to make sure that it gets there so that they don't, bill you anyway and stuff like that. I've got a thing now, right here. I'll show you this. And this is the second time I've tried this. I bought a new cell phone at Verizon, right? So here's my new Verizon Internet Gateway. And the guy's like, dude, try this, man. You interested? It'll give you at least 200 MBS. And I'm paying almost 100 for 100 MBS. He's like, oh, you'll be batting 200 easy. And I said, well, when I tried this 3 years ago, I didn't get any good speed and it was a pain in the ass the setup. He says, "Oh no, the second version's better. No problem." Well, I plugged the second version in, and guess what? I'm at 50 MBS instead of the 200 I was promised. And I speed tested it. I moved wires around this and that. So here's what they send me. Now this is the size of this going back, right? And feel the heft and all.
Mhm.
Here's the box they sent me. What's I don't know how it looks for you, but let me see if I can do this. I'm dropping the damn thing. You know, square peg round hole. How do I
Yeah.
fit this into this, right?
Yeah.
If I go in the top, that's about as much that gets in. I'm like, Verizon, what are you doing? Are you figuring I'm just going to give up and say it's too much of a pain in the ass to ship back?
Oh my God, can you please take a picture of that and post it on and tag them?
Well, sure.
The answer is
And
yes. And actually,
I
I'm gonna
would.
take some
I would.
screenshots. So if you don't, I just took screenshots, so it's done anyway.
I'll do it. I don't care. Just like leaving my gaffs and my flubs in the things I do for this show. I tell
Yeah,
you
you brought
guys,
props. I mean, that's more than I did.
it's true
Yeah,
too.
that's really committing to the effort here.
So basically, you're giving me props for my props, which I like.
Oh wow,
Fra-
this guy
Frank is the
Marcus.
Frank is the Dick Van Dyke of conversion chemistry. Do you remember the Dick Van Dyke show where he would come in the house and then trip over that piece of furniture? Remember that?
Yes. And my mind instantly went to Mary Tyler Moore, and I'm like, nah, Barbara Eden. That's exactly where my mind went just then. But that's a whole different show.
But
God
yeah,
bless.
he would come home from work, come like step. It was like one of those sunken living rooms where he would
Yeah.
come down a step and then he tripped over a piece of furniture and then popped back up, and that
Yeah.
was like the intro to the show. So
Oh
it was
yeah.
like, and he was a very physical actor, very physical, and could fall and trip and make it funny. But I thought that that gaff, that planned gaff, was kind of a fun opening.
Oh yeah. I don't know what their plan is at Verizon, but they make the thing. They should know what size box to ship it back in.
100%, 100%, absolutely. Well, I think they might figure you won't do it. I wouldn't put it past people. Like it's too much of a hassle to kind of put back together and and ship it out and all this kind of stuff.
Well, at $50, I'll buy a box and ship it back because that ain't happening. $50 a month.
Yeah, right.
600, I would have happily paid 600. And I love Verizon. I mean, they have the best phone coverage and stuff. And they've been very good to me over the years.
Hmm.
But geez, this is the second time I tried this. Second time it didn't work.
Mm.
Second time me having to call him. Last time it took 3 tries to get me in the right box.
Let me ask you this: what are the obstacles that prevent people from purchasing? Let's just talk about a service. We'll go with services then products. When it comes to a service, such as a virtual service
Mhm.
versus a lawn mowing or building a deck or something like that. Let's talk about a virtual service such as conversion chemistry. What are the obstacles that people come up with or encounter to prevent them from purchasing something like conversion chemistry? For
Uh,
instance, like there was a day when you wouldn't dare walk out of a car dealership without purchasing Z-Bart, like the rust proofing.
The extra rust proofing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, and my opinion is I wouldn't dare start a business without conversion chemistry. I wouldn't dare do it. I wouldn't do it. It's almost like success insurance. But what would be some of the obstacles that keep someone from purchasing or engaging with conversion chemistry?
Well, I like your analogy of a physical service, like a landscaper or building a deck. You have a very defined outcome versus a anything that's digital, virtual, online service based. It's it's part course, it's part blueprint, and part consultation. Right? We offer personalized consultation. There is no 100% defined outcome because it's very individualistic on the entrepreneur. I hire a landscaper, I have an expectation of what my lawn will look like. And the landscapers who work at my house, they fulfill that. And it's great. I love them. The guy who put the addition on my house showed me the plans. exceeded my expectations, which is a whole other thing we can talk about. Actually, we talked about it last week about referrals and whatnot, of just being 10% better. But conversion chemistry, it's digital, right? Every subscriber, every student, every entrepreneur will have a different outcome. So success looks different to everybody, and that's okay. That's something that I'm very passionate about, is that, George, your idea of success is different than mine, is different than Frank's. But, what we offer is a blueprint based on our successes and failures. But then there's still you, the entrepreneur, the student, has to apply that and follow what we say. And yes, there will be course corrections. And yes, out of the box, not every single parameter is going to work for that business. So you have to make adjustments along the way. But there is an unknown outcome unless you define it. So there's barriers right there when you take away other factors like price sensitivity, is that there's no defined outcome.
Yeah. And like, for instance, like with the promo code that we're using, we pretty much remove the price objection, like right from the get,
Sure,
right away.
But so one of the first exercises that somebody goes through is defining their goals and what they want, whether that is to expand their retail storefront to 5 stores, or to add 10 new product lines, or somebody who wants to quit their job, somebody who hasn't even thought about starting a side hustle yet. So the blueprint works for all of that. And, the resources that we provide, they're there to define that why. So the why and the outcome is part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
And we show examples, right? We show examples of, some of our YouTuber friends that passively make $7,000-8,000 a month just with in-stream ad revenue. That doesn't even count what they're making for public appearances, for branded collaborations, whatever. So these are all very realistic numbers.
Yeah. I remember years ago, a lot of virtual business offerings used to call it like business in a box. Remember that? Business in a box. Remember those, Frank? I mean, that goes back. And actually, I remember remember the days of cassette tapes, and you'd get these albums with like 12 cassettes in them, and, forms that you could copy, and it was considered business in a box, business plan in a box, or something like that. What if you were to say something about conversion chemistry? Like, to me, the phrase business in a box is kind of like a risk reversal. It's like, wow, it's done for me. I like that. Conversion chemistry, would you call that a done for me type of service?
Done with you. It's fill in the blank, because it's not like a Carlton Sheets. You mentioned the cassette tape, so we'll talk about Carlton Sheets and the no money down to start real estate investment. That is a true business in a box. Conversion chemistry is like, it's like the Mad Libs of business in a box. You do have to fill in the blanks with your business particulars to then define what that is. So I talk about the YouTuber, passively making 7 G's a month, just in ad revenue, but it also helps somebody a marketing intern, start their own agency and making 6 figures in the first year, or a franchise owner expanding from 3 to 9 locations, right? So the path, the framework is the same, but it is fill in the blank. So it's done with you.
I like that. Done with you instead of done for you. Although if it was done for you, they'd be paying a heck of a lot more money.
Well, sure, they can hire my marketing agency, which, by the way, I built by following this blueprint, and now I have delegated to somebody else to run the day-to-day operations, and I oversee it. It costs a lot more to pay us to do it for you, to come up with a marketing plan, which we always do in 3 to 6 month increment, usually quarterly marketing plans after the first business plan is written, establishing brand, creating a digital footprint, taglines, marketing materials, collateral, website, funnels, advertising, pay-per-click, whatever the industry and the business calls for. Way more expensive than following our blueprint, which teaches you, hey, if you can do it yourself for a time, do it yourself and then outsource it, or arming you with the proper knowledge and really questions to ask and ways to vet vendors to then do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, let's bring it back full circle, risk reversal, because now you're putting it on your vendors and let them prove what their risk reversal philosophies and offers are.
Yeah. Do you think when you offer a risk-free condition, do you think you unconsciously step up your own deliverability, do you think? Do you think there's something that goes on, like, or does it make you step up to the plate, or does it create anxiety in you when you offer risk reversal?
Yeah,
Well,
it
I
just
have
makes you
diagnosed
step up to the
anxiety, so
plate.
that's a yes and yes. Sorry, Frank.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let the guy without anxiety take that over.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, you just deliver a good product. You got a refund. First of all, by law, you have to have a refund policy for just about anything anyway. One size really doesn't fit all, man. There's parts of conversion chemistry that people, that everybody's going to use, and there's parts people are going to skip over and go to their favorite part, or the part that they need. But I want everybody to be comfortable with that. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? So I'm hoping I explained that right, Jonesy. What do you say, Mr. Anxiety?
Well, I'm feeling a lot calmer now. Thank you.
Have that
You, you,
touch,
you have eased my anxiety and
if not
uh,
momentarily.
momentum, right? I'm gonna segue into that. So two things. One about conversion chemistry is, yeah, there's an entire toolkit in there that's depending on the size of your business. Yeah, you personally, manager, owner, may not use, but empower your staff, your employees, your contractors with it. Again, you can delegate, make that required training for your staff, like any other training that you would put on people in your company. But I do want to circle back to pricing. And Frankie had talked about, don't be afraid to raise your prices because it will not only require, but the outcome will be a better and higher quality product. And it's for a few reasons. One, you have to step up to the plate and put more into it to justify charging a higher price. Second is that with COGS, cost of goods sold, you factor in returns, damages, everything like that, and you make that easy for somebody to return or replace your product. Why do we do that? Because it goes back to referrals, right? What you lost possibly in a sale or revenue right now just created a fan of your products, right? When something bad happens, you have usually one opportunity to make it right, whether it's a customer service issue, or replacing or returning a product, fine, whatever the case may be. But I get a busted phone. I want to return it. I get a brand new one within 48 hours. I'm telling everybody about that. I'm telling
Yep.
everybody how smooth it, and the second the replacement phone, it's fine. Must have been a fluke. Might have got damaged in shipping. Don't know, don't care. All I know is that company replaced it for me. And now I'm happy. And now I'm going to tell everybody about it. And however you price out your product, work with an accountant, work with a mentor about that, with pricing your products. We're experts in the digital space and can help you with that, with pricing out physical products and widgets. I have a lot less experience with that, but I do know you factor that into COGS. And the less you spend on advertising and reallocate it there, you're generating almost a guaranteed positive referral system.
And it's funny how implementing a risk-free element to your product or service can breed referrals and great testimonials as well. And
Absolutely.
I look at how many stars a restaurant has. I
Mhm.
look when I shop for something on Amazon, I look at people's reviews.
Sure, I do
And,
too.
and you can tell the ones that are just jerk offs,
Yep.
and you can tell the ones that are sincere.
And we have ways of
Yeah,
dealing with those, and conversion chemistry tells you how. I had to slip that
Mhm.
in there. And that's a great point, George, is that testimonials paint the picture of a certain outcome, especially with something that's experience based or virtual. A restaurant experience, the same delicious meal can be experienced multiple different ways depending on the service, the ambiance, the atmosphere, whatever. Um, Digital product, virtual services, same way. It's not the same as getting a deck built, not the same as getting your lawn mowed. But you, the reader, reading a testimonial or hearing a testimonial, now sees an expected outcome that you can hopefully paint the picture yourself for your own circumstance and experience.
Yeah,
right. You expect to at least match it or equal it
Mhm.
if you're reading other people's stuff, you know?
it's funny. I knew a guy that detailed cars, and I don't know what questions people ask when they get their vehicles detailed, but his one of his things was one of his ways of marketing was telling people that his most frequently used tools are toothpicks, toothbrushes, and Q-tips. And when you think about it, they're all like little things.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. When you get a car detailed, man, you want stuff clean with a Q-tip, cotton swab. You want toothpicks to go in and toothbrushes. It's not just about big buffers and washing and waxing. It's about the detail. I guess that's why they call it detailing.
Hey,
Duh.
ding, ding, ding. It's the phrase
Yeah.
that pays.
It's interesting how just something like that creates an image that's so consistent with the actual industry itself. He does automotive detailing, and his tools do detail work. Interesting, very interesting. I wonder, like when it comes to car detailing, this is totally off the topic. How many people want their money back, or do they offer a money back? Do car detailers offer money back, or do they say, "Well, we'll if you're not happy, we'll get it back in here until you are happy with it," something like that. I don't know. What do they do?
I have a few who are partners and clients. I call them partners. Well, I'm their marketing partner. Anyway, it's typically a service-based guarantee with reasonable situations and expectations. You can't take your freshly paint corrected car through the awful brushed car wash with the pig hair brush that people scrub their tires with, and then you're surprised when you have a bunch of swirl marks when you come out the other end.
Yeah.
However, I know my detailers, the one in particular, they caution against that.
Hmm.
They empower you to do self-care for your car in between. So it's service-based. Yeah. If you did a ceramic coat and acid rain happens the next day and it didn't cure properly or whatever the case may be, yeah, come back and we'll put a second coat on it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's expectations. Then you have somebody who comes in who never took a vacuum to their car in 17 years and is upset that there are, ash stains and cigarette stains and what was the Jolt Cola stains from 1999 in the
Yeah.
back seat.
Yeah.
And, it
You
still remains, well, you know what? That's on you, pal. It looks good and smells good otherwise.
Yeah.
that stuff you put there 20 years ago, it's not coming out.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that about the car washes because, I mean, think about that. Those self-serve ones, it's the same brush that the Monster Mutter guy, 2 cars in front of you, washed his tires and rims with. Here you are, your
Yeah.
brand new Mustang or whatever, and you're using. I never got that. I go brushless, baby.
And even that with caution because they recycle the water, which for the environment is very good. But recycled water still has contaminants, and yeah, it's 1,000 times better than a brushed car wash. Brushless is
Brush.
fine. This is my public service vehicle announcement: is always get a double bucket with hand mitt using Adam's car shampoo foam.
Great. That's good.
Where can I get?
That's
Where
good.
can I get that at Fire Your
And
Boss?
don't use a sponge. Don't use a sponge
Right.
because
It's
Wash with double bucket.
the open cells in the sponge will contain particulate gritty matter and create scratches, micro scratches.
Yep.
the things you learn on this show, huh, kids?
Yep. We're gonna have to get white labeled Fire Your Boss quick detail spray.
Yeah, private label.
Yeah.
There you go.
I know.
Hey,
I know a guy who's making a lot of money.
Truth is said in jest.
Well, do you guys remember well, Frank probably does in the MLM world, the waterless car wash? Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That went around like 30 years ago.
yes, yep. Waterless car wash. What else in the last few minutes, guys? How are we going to save the world yet again?
Well, actually, I have one more car detailing thing because now that my memory has been jogged, it was actually I built an e-commerce site for him. He's a high-end detailer and ceramic coat specialist in New Jersey. He went to one of our masterminds once about a year ago. His name is Jai. He runs My Own Lane, which it's his shop in Jersey. He only does performance vehicle. You're paying multiple thousands of dollars for the ceramic coat job because it's worth it. He won't touch jobs under a certain dollar amount for all the reasons we just talked about. But he does. He has a chemist basically create products for him, and he labels them and sells them himself for basically the DIYer who doesn't want to use his service, and B, for between care of his services. I think that's a really cool tie-in because he was part of our mastermind at one point.
I haven't returned very many digital downloads because for the price you pay, usually there's always something in there that you can benefit from. But I know what you're saying about shoes and stuff because I remember as a kid, we went to the shoe store, Buster Brown's shoe store.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. By the way, that's Claire right there making her first walk on in the show. Hi, Claire. I'm the
Oh,
only person
excellent.
that can. I'm the only person that can pet this cat. Oh, there she goes.
Apparently not.
Yeah. Way to make me look bad, cat. See what time you get dinner tonight.
That's going to be a clip. I'll tell you. That'll
It's
be a
no,
viral.
another clip where Frank sticks his foot in his mouth. Come here, precious kitty. You
Yeah,
know,
I'm the only one who can pet this
she turns around and walks
and
away.
then it runs away.
Such a diva, little bastard.
That is
Anyway, we used to go to Robert Hall in Irvington, New Jersey, the shoe store. Or was that? No, that was clothing. Buster Brown's
Buster Brown shoes. Yes.
was the kids' shoe store. And you
Yep.
used to go there and the guy would fit you and you'd walk around. It was those big things. Now you order them on Amazon. If you're half a size off, you ship them back 2 days later. You got the right size, like
Yeah.
you say. Because I'm a 9. I'm usually a 10, but sometimes depending on everything else, I could be a 9 or 9.5, you know?
Right. Right.
And that, you know, it's Amazon. I don't know what the Whole Foods thing is, because if you ship me something, like I got 2 cartridges of ink, the box was broken and the ink leaks. Not to be fussy, but why the hell do I have to go back to Whole Foods? It's only
Right.
4 or 5 miles away. I
Right.
go past it, but like, why do I have to do that? You guys are the ones with the thing. Up until a year or 2 ago, you shipped the stuff back from your house. You know, UPS would come with a call tag and take it. I as a marketer, I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
You know, what does that mean? Why do they do that? You know, some advantage to them. I don't know what advantage it is to the customer, but
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
yeah. So we covered shoe sizes. I just want to make sure we've covered everything. Shoe sizes, car wash, risk reversal. My cat that doesn't even love me anymore, evidently.
I'm warning you. I'm warning you. That's going to be a clip. That's going to be everywhere.
Make it viral. I'll
It's
stand on my head
funny.
and drop trout if it'll go viral. I don't care.
I do believe that risk reversal can be some people like to say USB. I like to say, or USP. I'm looking at my cord and I said USB.
All
USP.
these
Unique,
acronyms.
yeah, exactly. Unique selling proposition. I like saying singular competitive advantage. When people are telling someone else, when they're giving a testimonial about a product, and they say, "Hey, look, just try it." They have a risk-free thing. They do you know, if you don't like it, you get your money back.
Yeah.
I think that can be a competitive advantage in a world where there's a lot of the same products. I mean, if you live on Car Detail Row, think about it. I mean, like for instance, in Philadelphia, there's Jewelers Row, right? Sansom
Yeah.
Street. It's nothing but jewelry stores. How do you stand out amongst 50 jewelry stores? You have to have a unique selling proposition. You have to have a single competitive advantage. You have to have something risk-free. You have to, like, how do you get people in the door? Same thing with Restaurant Row, you know, or Barbershop Row or Salon Row. I know down on Spruce Street, there is just one barbershop and salon after another. You'll go to one and you'll pass 10 salons to go to the one that you really want to go to. But there was a reason why you chose that one. And was it the risk-free thing? How did they mitigate the risk? What did they do? Was it the way they questioned you? Was it in the consultation? Was it, and after you left, 20 people gave you compliments on your haircut or beard trim or whatever? So I think you have to look at your field, see what your competition is. And if you're in a field where there's no competition, which is pretty rare, if you're in a field where there's no competition, then I think it's super important to have a risk reversal. What do you think, Jonesy?
Yes, if you're in a field without competition, that means that it's something that somebody hasn't thought of as a solution, or it's there is no product or service because there's no audience for it. But for the benefit of the doubt, we'll say that it's a very niched down, right? Because to tie that in, there's another way to combine the risk reversal with the 3 niches to create your USP in a crowded market. That combination lets you stand out. But if you don't have a lot of competition, then yeah, you need to demonstrate a desired outcome or the consequences of not taking this step. Absolutely. You have to tell that story, paint that picture.
And I think the more niches you go down, the easier it will be to create a risk reversal because you're not for everybody. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I was working with a guy, and as I was sharing with him, he's got to go down 3 niches. I said, "What do you want to do?" Because I want to work with men. He said, "Okay, there's only 5 million different types of men." I go, "What kind of man?" He goes, "Men under 40." I said, "Okay. What kind of man under 40? Married, single, disabled, black, white? Like what? Like define your customer. Like we were talking about last week, define your customer." And I saw him, I don't want to say squirm, but I just saw him get uncomfortable as I was kind of forcing him to kind of niche down 3 to 5 levels. And then he felt so comfortable dealing with that very specific person that he could offer a risk reversal because he was so specific about what he could do for a very specific type of clientele that risk reversal was zero fear for him.
Why, George, have we unveiled Niche Navigator yet?
Have we?
Niche Navigator, if you go to fireyourboss.win, you can use the tool Niche Navigator, which we built using OpenAI. So there's the disclaimer is that it's OpenAI. We know the ups and downs of it if you want to learn more about that, conversion chemistry. But you ask it, Niche Navigator will ask you a series of questions about your personal, professional life, your skills, your unique qualities to help you define what that 3 niches is, what that 3 drill down niche is. All right. So hey, you're in the fitness, and you think you want to be a trainer. Cool. Then it'll ask you a series of questions, and you'll find out that you're not so much into bodybuilding and weightlifting, but you want to do adaptive fitness, which means working with disabilities or later in life, whatever. All right, cool. I can do that. You know what? This is really passionate for me. Neurological disorders. So, and I'm using somebody I know as an example who she is a fitness trainer who works with clients who have neurological disorders, Parkinson's, a few different things, and that's her niche. She doesn't advertise to anybody else, doesn't necessarily need to work with anybody else. So there's the example. A Niche Navigator can help you carve that out.
Nice segue, man. Sweet. That's good. That's good. All right. This ended up being a really good conversation and getting people's gears turning about risk reversal and how it could actually end up being a competitive advantage in their field. I'll give you guys the last word. Jonesy.
The riches are in the niches, and risk reversal is your entrepreneurial reverse Uno card. Good luck and have fun.
Nice. Frank.
Conversionchemistry.com. And what is our discount code, people?
Bruno 2024.
Bruno
2024, baby. Best money you'll spend. I say that humbly and respectfully because you get us in so many different ways and so many different possibilities tightened up and dialed in that you can have a good clear path. And this Niche Navigator alone, geez, Jonesy, nice work on that one, dude.
It's the minimum viable product. Time will tell. So I'm asking everybody to beta test it and rip me a new asshole if it fails out. Because like I said, it's powered by OpenAI. So I didn't create a new language model. Yeah.
I'm gonna try it as soon as we're off of the podcast here. Well, I like
say, George Bruno, we want you to work with women 21 to 25.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I'd rather dive into a swimming pool filled with razor blades and do that. I think that was a weird Al Yankovic song or something like that. Long story short, I know I wouldn't start a business without conversion chemistry. It's kind of like the Fram oil filters. The commercial used to say, "See me now or see me later."
Yes, I love that. Yeah.
That was a great advertising campaign. That was fantastic because I really feel like build this into your business now or hire us as consultants later and pay through the nose to save your business.